Well, hello, everybody. Welcome again to another installment of Show to Be with Mike G, the show of bass guitar, the show of Motorhead, David Bowie, Connecticut, New York, Justin Elliott again. How does he end up in the story again? Today's interview is with the amazingly mustached Florian Minier. He's a Connecticut guy. He's a New York guy, but something drove him to Austin, where he currently works at the world-class half-step bar down there on Rainy Street in Austin, Texas. We have a very, very good chat. We get to talk about music, and we get to talk about Calvados, a lot of different things here, but I do want to apologize. I had to cut the interview slightly short due to some technical issues. We are in the era and the age of technology, and hell if it doesn't let me down sometimes. But without further ado, I hope you guys enjoyed this conversation with Florian Minier.
Gibson Thunderbird. Well, one of a couple.
Nikki Sixx, right? From Motley Crue. He played a Thunderbird, right?
Yeah, I don't know, but we always fell in love with it. I always loved the Gibson basses.
Yeah.
Just, I don't know, the feel. Like, I play with a pick predominantly.
Yeah. Driving it, like.
Oh, yeah. Like, growing up on punk and metal, like, that was the only way to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine this real quick. Mm-hmm. Imagine if Lemmy didn't use a pick.
Oh,
it'd be fucking useless.
I'm so glad that I got to see Motorhead.
Did you
live.
Get him to see him at Stubbs this last time?
No, I saw him back in New York. What was it? I think at the Roseland.
Oh, you saw him at the Roseland?
Back, it was either it was Roseland. God, I don't even know how many years ago. That was probably about 6-7 years ago.
Beautiful venue.
And yes, I was in the pit, and yes, I got punched in the face by a big metal chick accidentally.
And you guys got married.
Not quite. I was actually, someone of my stature, when they go into a metal pit, pretty much gets picked up and thrown across the room. So that's what happened, and she just happened to be pumping her fists in the air and punched me right in the mouth.
Jesus. but it is that in a Motorhead pit. So some pits are very communal. They'll pick you up off the ground. But in a Motorhead pit, she punches you across the face. And she's like, oh shit. Well, and she brings you up, or, I mean, how is that pit?
Yeah, as I was falling backwards, she grabbed me and asked me if I was okay. And
that's good. That's great.
Planted a big wet sloppy kiss on my cheek, and then just threw me back right in.
But that's what you'd expect, you know?
Yeah. No, it was amazing. Good. It was definitely like had more of those like communal kind of punk pit vibes, and not so much like we're just gonna stomp your ass in the ground.
Right. Like a Sick of It All show.
Yeah.
You remember Sick of It All? Because you were in New York for a while. Sick of It All is from New York. I remember they had this video in it, and I don't expect anybody to remember this, because this was one in my teenage years. I'm watching Alternative Nation or 120 Minutes. And so it's fucking Sick of It All. There's this show, the Sick of It All video that clearly delineates the type of moshing. So it's like the lawnmower, the picking up change, right? Like all these kind of things. And I was like, holy shit, how did they manage to capture the dance moves of a nation in a pit? It's totally crazy. Did you have a move, or was it just kind of being in the pit?
No, my move was just pretty much being tossed across the pit. And hoping for the best.
The pacifist. That's what they call it.
Yeah, or like, the scrawny guy.
Yeah. It's good. How was the show?
It was amazing. It was so loud. My ears were ringing for, I don't even know, probably like 4 or 5 days.
Really?
Yeah, actually, I was working at Macau back in New York at the time, and I went with Deshaun and a friend of his, and
really?
Justin Elliott was there too.
No shit.
Yeah, he will tell you just how loud it actually was. I think he said that he left about 2 songs before the end because his ears were ringing so bad that he went outside to smoke a cigarette, and he was still hearing like weird harmonics bouncing off.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
Yeah, it was loud.
Really loud. And that Rick bass, like all kind of shredded out and kind of just really slight and tinny.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine what that does to your ears, man.
I probably still somewhat deaf because of that show.
I think medically you still are feeling it you have to, like, in some respect.
Yeah.
Did it hit you pretty hard? I know I talked to Jeff Boley about Lemmy, and he was an icon, you know. So how did you feel?
I mean, it was a bummer, unexpected. Yeah. I mean, especially, you know, with plus Bowie, like just like a couple weeks later, like it was just a weird, like
left to right, like combo.
Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Like,
Alan Rickman?
Yeah.
Jesus. Like, give me a break, please. Someone stop fate for just a second. Like, whatever is up and causing the shit to like cycle out people and cycle out beings. It was tough.
Well, it's like Hitchhiker's Guide. Like all the dolphins are leaving all of a sudden. Like.
They know. Like, we're the fuck out of it. We're getting out of here.
Yeah, see ya.
So are you a Texan? I don't know that about you.
No, actually. Fun fact: I grew up in Connecticut.
You grew up in Connecticut? Well, you are white, so I mean the stats are for you.
Yeah, that's true.
Where in Connecticut?
About an hour and a half north of New York City.
Oh no shit. Okay.
On my mom's side of the family, all my aunts and uncles still live there.
Really?
In the city itself.
Yeah.
You know, all from Long Island and upstate, and so yeah, it was just in my blood. I mean, I knew I was going to end up in New York eventually. And
so close, right?
Yeah. Did a quick stop in New Orleans for a year before moving up to the city, but yeah, lived there for 4 years, and I mean, really cut my teeth in the whole bar and music thing up there.
What is it like growing up in Connecticut? I grew up kind of all different places, predominantly white places. I can tell you, Salt Lake City, for example, being the most albino. But you were born in Connecticut, raised in Connecticut.
Yep.
And any brothers or sisters?
I have two.
Two brothers.
Got a brother who's 2.5 years younger, and then a half brother who's 17 years younger than I am.
Jeez, that's quite a bit younger. So the oldest of those.
Yeah.
And how old are you now?
I just turned 30. I know it took me long enough. Finally got around to doing it.
It took you long enough. Eventually, you're gonna turn 30. You better watch out. But eventually, it'll fucking happen. I mean, it happens to the best of us. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry.
Man, I was so excited, like, because I might be the oldest of my siblings.
Yeah.
But I've always been the youngest of all my friends.
Yeah.
Just starting when I was living in New York, I was like this 21-year-old kid, and I
heard you weren't even like supposed to be working at a couple places because you weren't even.
No,
21
that's
yet.
not exactly.
Is that not true? Is that what
I was
folklore?
So I know Justin said on this podcast that I was 20 when we met.
Yeah,
it's not true. I was 21.
I was 18.
But no, I mean, I started working in bars and restaurants when I was 18, just bar backing and all that.
Yeah.
But by the time we all started hanging out, like I was the 21-year-old, and everyone else was, I don't know,
just older,
6, 7, 8 years older than I was.
Yeah.
And I was just always the kid. And it's still the case, even though now I turned 30. I'm still the kid.
We're all older. If somehow, like, when you get older, it just kind of accelerates your aging. I think that's an Einsteinian theory, actually.
Yeah, I think that was, he wrote that right before the whole dark matter.
That's right. Yeah, I think so too. So what, I hope you were playing bass in high school. Were you doing the band thing?
Yeah. So as far as all that goes, I mean, I took piano lessons when I was like, I think 5, 6, 7. Hated it like every kid does.
Mm-hmm. I know. My mom made me do it. Did your mom make you do it?
Yeah.
but are you? I'm thankful.
I am too. I mean,
it's totally a great thing.
There are a lot of musicians in my family, and so I don't know, was drawn to it. Always kind of felt natural to be playing an instrument one way or another.
Something, right? Like it's just. You think it's a part of our brains and how we kind of express ourselves? Is it the physical movement? I mean,
I couldn't tell you, but I think people are just sometimes have a knack for certain talents. And, other things. I mean,
it's in your blood.
I'm not very good at spelling, but
but the hell if I can't write a good melody.
Yeah, give me A through G and I can figure it out.
Yeah, I like it. It's good. So you're doing piano lessons, kind of, I guess, up through middle school, or was that later in life?
Yeah, I mean, for a couple of years, and then started picking up the bass, started picking up the guitar around like I think 11 or 12.
Oh wow, yeah, pretty young then.
Started bass mostly. Then switched to guitar and was doing that more in high school. Then when I went to college, I started focusing on bass more.
Yeah.
And
where'd you go to college?
really tiny liberal arts college in Western Massachusetts called Simon's Rock.
I'm not familiar. What? So
Yeah,
liberal arts. What are they
liberal
known
arts,
for? Would you say?
Early admissions.
That's what they're known for.
That's actually the basis of the premise.
No shit.
Program. So the majority.
Get you through it early.
Well, most of the the incoming classes mostly after their sophomore or junior year of high school.
Oh, okay.
Coming in.
Okay.
So yeah, I went to college when I was 16. And
Wait.
now I've been bartending for over 10 years.
Are you some kind of savant? Some like Doogie Howser,
No,
very academic.
I wouldn't go that far.
But so well, how'd you you have to? I mean, all right. Let's put it this way: you got to be driven to some degree to graduate by 16 to head up to college.
Technically, I never graduated, but
Oh, good. Okay, all right, good. Don't. Yeah, I for a minute I felt very threatened. My whole intellect was threatened. But
no, they just got this program for high school kids that feel that they're ready to take the next step in whatever form or whatever field they want to kind of pursue their academics. And for me, that was music, and especially getting into punk at that age, I was like, I'm not going to college. Like, fuck this shit.
what is so? Please help me understand what punk bands were very influential. Was it there's something that you heard like this defines it now? Fuck college. I'm not doing it.
I mean, I think it was just more being turned off by high school and listening to like a lot of like Dead Kennedys and stuff like that. It's like, yeah, I'll just move to the city and like be in a punk band. Everything's gonna be cool. It's
yeah,
awesome,
it'll all work out.
because that's the mentality you have when you're 14, 15 years old.
Absolutely.
Like,
Jello Biafra, ran for governor or mayor of San Francisco.
mayor of San Francisco. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also puts on a hell of a show.
Oh, I can't imagine. Like I imagine he's still amazing.
I saw him with the Melvins years ago at a small theater in Northampton, Massachusetts, and yeah, he was amazing.
That's incredible.
Like the Melvins opened up, and then they became his backing band. And before he ran,
They were his backing band?
Yeah, it was Jello and the Melvins
No shit.
doing a lot of like old DK stuff.
Yeah.
So before he comes on stage, I'm like, well, this is like 2004 maybe.
Yeah.
He might
You're
be
young. You're real young.
Well, I was like, he might be old and fat and bald and like
Buzz Osborne.
yeah, it's like what am I to expect right now? And they launched into Chemical Warfare, and he ran on stage, and like
Everything
his
you want.
voice sounded better than you could possibly imagine.
Oh,
Like,
man.
he tore right into it. It
That's
was
amazing.
probably one of the best shows I've ever been to.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. That was so. I think it kind of went when I think about the chapters when I was younger, and obviously I'm a bit older than you. I'm like 6 years older than you, but like Black Flag was a chapter, right? Of course, as it is.
Mm-hmm.
Minor Threat's a chapter. Now this isn't chronological order, mind you, because I think Minor Threat came. Well, actually, no. Black Flag, even before Rollins, is 79, so it's before Minor Threat. So Black Flag, Minor Threat, and then you get Dead Kennedys.
Yeah.
Right in the middle of that, right? And it's just like kind of looser, kind of more West Coast, and because he's from West Coast. They were from West Coast, weren't they? Or
Jello was from, I think, like Colorado or something.
Yeah,
he
something
moved out.
like
He moved out to San Francisco. at some
different,
point,
right?
which is very-
Something looser, kind of like more liberal. But that's a nice. That is one of the eras, the chapters of the narrative when we're getting into punk rock. At least for me, right? And then you get into kind of like, well, Bad Religion, rounds in '77.
Well, I had the fortune of having a good friend of the family who was pretty much my older brother.
Yeah.
And he was a little bit older than I was. Well, I guess considerably older. But I was starting to listen to like The Offspring and Green Day, and like because
early
that's
90s,
that's
right?
what was coming out. What we were listening to. And I remember I was playing one of the Offspring records, and then he was like, "Okay, cool," and then he gave me Bad Brains, Eye Against Eye, and Jane's Addiction, Nothing Shocking. He's like, why don't you take a listen to these, and then we'll talk in a couple weeks. And like mind
blew your
blown.
mind, right?
I was like, oh my god, and that opened the door to like everything else, and then like
Nothing Shocking is it's punk but halftime in a sense, right? Like it's still pretty fast, but to think that Navarro was writing riffs like that, and then he is what he is now. Like it's a very strange kind of thought. You know?
I stopped paying attention to him after I saw he was on that reality show like, all those years ago.
You do that,
dude.
But at that moment, at that exact time, like Was it vibrant? What did it motivate? Did it motivate you to go play more music to get the fuck out of high school? Or
Yeah, definitely, man. All that music, like just in everything I was listening to. I mean, I was big into like Tool and Nine Inch Nails as well, like back at the time, and like just everything was like, this is what I want to do for my whole life. And, of course.
How did your mom feel? So your mom like put you into piano. She obviously expected, at least my mom did, that's going to lead. That's a gateway instrument. So it's going to lead you into bass.
Yeah, I mean, she was always super supportive of all that.
Is that what she wanted? Like, what did she do? Was she in the arts at all? Or
yeah, she fashion design.
No shit.
Yeah, she went to like
Connecticut.
Well, in FIT originally. That's when she went to school and then worked in the industry and all that. She teaches French mostly.
Really?
But
Minier.
Oh yeah, Minier.
Yeah,
Minier. Florian Minier, a little bit French, just a little.
I didn't want to assume. But so you had like, I love that about moms, right? I mean, I'm reading between the lines, but was your dad around at all?
Definitely.
He was, okay. But they split at some point. She's talking about half brother, half.
Yeah, I think it was like 5 or 6.
Yeah. So it's pretty young still.
But I mean, we're all close.
Is he French as well?
Oh yeah, he's where all the French comes from. Yeah, he was born and raised in France.
Oh no kidding.
He's the only one of his siblings that lives over here.
Oh really?
Mm-hmm.
Was he also influential, like when it comes to art, and music, and film and all that?
Definitely. I mean, I think both of my parents have been super supportive.
Yeah, that's so great, man.
But yeah, I don't know. It's cool being, I don't know, carrying on that legacy of moving away from home and establishing yourself somewhere else. Like
sure, and punching people in the pit.
Getting punched in the pit.
Sorry. I wanted to shift the power dynamic a little bit, but yes, that's right, getting punched in the pit. But so how long did you stick out school then, as a young lad?
So
the college bit.
Well, yeah, the college I went for 2 years, got my associates.
Oh, good. Okay.
And,
what music major?
I mean, liberal arts after 2 years,
gotcha,
which is I mean,
whatever you want
to make of it. But yeah, I mean, all my electives were all music. A couple of years in music theory and composition, electronic music, and
really
all that. Played in a band for all the time that I was up there, and yeah, I don't know. So
you did it. You did the life. Do you live on campus, or do you have an apartment, or what?
Up there on campus. It was, like I said, small school. I think maybe 350 people.
Oh, that's it?
Yeah.
Shit.
Small school.
That's real small. That's amazing, though. I mean, so you're like 16, 17, right? You're doing this
I graduated when I was 18. Yeah, moved
What's going... sorry, go ahead.
No, after you.
Yeah, what's going through your head at that point? Like, you've got some music.
Mm-hmm.
You've got supportive parents, which seldom happens with music, right?
Yeah.
You're like, what is my next step now? Is that where New York kind of comes on to the horizon, or?
To a certain extent, I'd say like a lot of us that we're trying to pursue a career in, say, something like music.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, cool. Well, while I'm looking for a band, how do I pay the bills?
Right.
What do I do? And so Sean, who was the same guy that gave me Eye Against Eye and Nothing Shocking.
Yeah.
He was a bartender in New York.
No shit.
So
wait, so can you tell me your guys' relation? Is he like a half brother,
an uncle? He worked for my dad.
Oh, he worked for your dad. What'd your dad do?
He at the time was owned a tile and countertop, like stone.
Okay.
Company, and did installations and things like that.
Did you ever help out doing the installs or anything?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I know my way around a wet saw. I wasn't very good, but
you still know your way.
That was first job.
Yeah.
Like, here, take this pallet of stones and cut them in half. Like,
Jesus Christ,
okay.
Really? So obviously you build kind of a pretty good relationship. You're working in the trenches is where you develop so many of those relationships, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And he's like, man, you got to check out these records. And so he's in New York.
Well, he was bartending, and being kind of a that older brother figure.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, that looks cool. Like, I could do that. And he actually got me my first job in New York when I moved there. They had a hole at Barback at this club in the meatpacking district. And, he's like, if you want to start next week, like, you got it.
Come on down.
And yeah, that's where I started cutting my teeth, like real volume and all that.
But did you have any predilect? So how about this? Did it feel like because you were doing the one thing you couldn't do the music anymore, or it was just a means to the end so you could do the music?
No, I think just over time, sort of the ratio changed.
Yeah. That balance, right?
Yeah. And when it became, I mean, clearly you got to be real lucky to be able to make a living playing music.
Pretty goddamn lucky. Yeah. Even Kanye is struggling with it. So.
Oh yeah, that guy. But yeah, and I mean, over the years, kind of getting more exposure to, the service industry, restaurants, bars, like the whole cocktail scene, and just kind of finding my own in that industry as well, and realizing that that's not only something that I could get a paycheck from, but like that I really enjoy.
Maybe you could thrive, right? Because how different is it really to write a melody versus making a cocktail? It's the same thing.
We're all on stage.
That's totally. Thank you, Florian, because it is the same thing, man. You're performing now, whether you choose to say, well, it's just how you are hospitable. That's the dynamic, right? But it is. You're on stage. You're concocting a melody. It's a matter of balance and all that. Like, only because I'm trying to conform to the way I think about cocktails. Cocktails are songs, man.
I mean,
it's low, medium, high.
Pretty much.
That's how I look at it.
Yeah. I mean, you're just throwing together like what has already been done 100 million times before, and just
absolutely,
trying to just do it the best you can.
Right. Hopefully it resonates. Right.
Hopefully. I'd like to think that after all these years, I can. Find my way around 4 ingredients or 4 strings, like however you want to put it.
Well, I started playing bass because 6 was just too much.
Yeah, well,
that's how it happens.
That's true
for some of us, So, but do you feel like you took to it? I mean, being a bar back, being in the industry, having those ingredients and all of that.
Absolutely.
What year are we talking when you were bar back in?
Oh, geez. 2004, I think I started.
What was it like then? It seems like that's Seattle pre-Nirvana. You know what I mean? Like it's just like in New York that it's bubbling up.
I mean, that's when things were like really starting to take off.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think like Employees Only just opened up. All the Milk and Honey bars, were starting to pop up.
Yeah.
I still don't think Sasha had a printer at that point, which is why they didn't have a menu.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was like, so I guess in some respects, I found myself at the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
And, after a couple years getting to know like Jay and Deshaun and Igor, like working at Macau, just kind of like really like started to see everything just happening.
Did you realize at that point that like shit was really starting to break out?
Yeah, I think more of my focus was still on music and the band at that point.
Yeah.
But like you could see it like cocktail competitions, national, like I think Tails was really starting to take off at that point. Right. And so like I could realize that there was something going on.
It wasn't just fast fashion, right? Yeah. Like it would like, okay, well maybe this is an industry. Maybe this is a movement.
Yeah. And I think that was another big thing for me was after a couple of years in New York, like seeing people who were proud to be career bartenders, who were getting to be in their mid 30s, like approaching 40, and like they were a bartender, and they were proud to be a bartender, and like they're like, this is what I do, this is my profession, and I'm proud to do it.
Don't you think it's an interesting? So that's a great thing to think about, to frame it, because for so long it's like, well, bartenders are just a means to an end for the patron behind the bar, but the way the industry has went, it's allowed for creativity, it's allowed for bar ownerships, it's allowed for menu management, beverage programs, all this thing. And so do you feel like at that point no one took bartenders seriously?
I think to a certain extent people, the portion of the population still doesn't.
Yeah, I agree, yeah.
And, because it is, I guess, in some circles still considered to be like, say, a dead end job, or just like, and that's probably one of the most insulting things you can ask of a bartender or a waiter, or really any service industry professional is, so what do you do? And
if it's not enough, right?
And it's like, well,
you take care of the kids at home? Like, what do you,
like,
you have a job?
What do you do? It's like, I'm here to provide you with a good time. Like I'm I'm making your drinks or I'm bringing you food or whatever it is. Like this is a huge like profession in our society.
I'm not just fucking around. I'm not just making nachos in a microwave to serve to you.
It's like we get no respect for what we do.
But it's changing. That's changing.
It is
that
definitely
notion
changing.
is changing.
It's been, I think, definitely an uphill battle trying to get the like just perception of the service industry to change as a real career.
And it is.
And yeah, totally. I mean, either that or I've been wasting the last 12 years of my life.
The same shit can be said about a musician, right? Like you go and you tour and you lose money and you eat Dinty Moore out of a can, like that's how it goes. But so you go from a cow to pretty big spot, if I understand correctly, right? Like you're moving up.
So Justin and I moved to Savannah for a year before coming out here.
So your relationship so Justin worked in Macau?
No, he and
How'd you guys meet?
We had a lot of mutual friends back in New York and just got introduced like
serendipitously, like a John Cusack romance.
It was outside the levee one night. I was hanging out with my friend and like he was like, dude, you got to exchange numbers with this guy. And then cut to like 6 months later, we decided to put a band together. And
why do you think they matchmaked you two?
Because I was looking for a band at the time, and he was playing in this band called Ghost Runner, which was going through a little bit of a rough patch. And my other friend John, who introduced us, his old band, had been opening up for them a whole bunch. And we ran into each other at a bar, and he was like, "Dude, I got to introduce you guys." And then we exchanged numbers, and then that was that. Like,
no shit.
So, yeah.
Kindred spirits.
Pretty much.
It's amazing.
It was one of those everything happens for a reason kind of moments,
totally
I guess.
Does.
So
you guys start playing in a band, but then you're transitioning out of Macau, though, at that point, right?
I wasn't working there yet.
Okay.
Oh God. I think it was probably 2006
we
started playing together. Then, the whole band moved in together, or most of the band moved in together, and
sad bastard genre. That's what Justin calls it. Sad bastard.
Yeah, it was a little different when we first started, but it definitely started transitioning more country and less metal.
Yeah,
as the years went on.
You have to at some point.
Yeah,
you got to make a decision. More metal? You want to do metal or country?
Man, so expensive trying to cab it with a 5-piece from gig to gig in New York City.
Holy shit! Thank you so much for being so honest about it. Like sometimes you just play genres because it's easier to jet that shit around.
Yeah.
Like, a fucking Ampeg 5x10 or like a 6x10 or 6x8.
Oh no, the A10. Oh god, I wanted one of those so bad. No,
but it's amazing, right? But who wants to carry that shit around to play loud music?
Even going to practice.
I don't even want to practice the big cat. Yeah, it's fucking insane. That's how it goes.
Yeah. Lost track for a second. What were we talking about?
So you guys are living together, you and Justin, forging this wonderful relationship, and then this next career opportunity comes about?
Well, so I was, just like any young kid up and coming in the service industry, I had to get fired a couple times.
Sure.
Because...
Do you flip off your boss ever?
No, it was more like oversleeping.
Well, way better than flipping off your boss.
But, live and learn, and sometimes you got to learn it the hard way.
Yeah, of course. You're young. Like, you have so much time to make up for that shit at that point.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're like 20, at 21 or 20 at this point, right?
22.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, what do you have to lose?
Yeah, show up. It's like, that's your third time that you overslept. I'm sorry. You can go back.
You overslept. I'm out of here.
Drops the mic, walks out. He went to UT, and so basically after a couple of years of being just like a Brooklyn band, we're like, let's try to make our names for someone or for ourselves somewhere else. Thought Savannah sounded appealing. Did that for a year. Wasn't exactly what we thought it was going to be. It was great. It was
I love Savannah.
Great city. It's like
why Savannah? You had everywhere. The slave trade?
I don't. Yeah.
Of course.
No.
Of course, I'm kidding.
big art school, beautiful city.
Yeah.
Felt like we could kind of go down, like really just make a name for ourselves there.
Yeah. Small pond.
Pretty much.
Yeah, got it.
And it was great. The album that we recorded down there is awesome.
Still love it. What was it called? Everyone's gonna go to Spotify now.
Tecumseh.
Tecumseh.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Indian chief?
Like William Tecumseh Sherman. Because that was the one city that he spared.
Oh, shit.
Mm-hmm.
Was this more metal or more country at that point?
A lot more country. It was just the two of us.
Oh.
It was after we had already decided that we were moving out here.
Mm-hmm.
And we were like, well, we got another 6 months on our lease. Let's just fire up the laptop and like record some of these songs that we've been writing. And
yeah.
So just the two of us did the whole thing.
That's amazing.
And
you guys play out now?
we're working on it.
I thought so. I had a feeling. Justin is eager, I think.
We all are. It's a matter of like finding time and like,
It's always tough, man.
Yeah,
Like
between work and families and
sure. Luckily, you don't have any kids though.
No, just a dog and 2 cats.
Different. At least it's like quarter time commitment.
Yeah.
I have a Vox AC30 downstairs with blue backs, and I'm like, should I sell it? Yeah. Should I not? I'm getting older. I'm like 36 now. What am I gonna do?
I still got my first guitar amp. It was I think 64 Fender Blackface Bandmaster.
Holy shit! Really? 210s, 212s?
Half stack 212s with a head. It's mismatched. I think the cab is 66.
Yeah,
if I remember correctly.
That's still amazing.
But it's like it's just sitting there in the corner collecting dust. I'm like, what do I do?
It's like getting out. You're like, oh well, I just got to rehab. Well, it's cool, man. Like you don't have to look at this wonderful array of alcohol that we have on the table for the other guests. It's like, what am I gonna do? How am I gonna rectify?
It's like your favorite, old band T-shirt from from high school.
Smells
like,
good, fits well.
Like holes everywhere.
Sure.
Like,
but you can't wear it to work.
No.
But you want to wear it to work.
You can't really even wear it around the house. Just like
as long as the windows are shut, right?
Yeah, right.
So did you guys go back to New York after Savannah, or did you actually go to Austin after Savannah?
We moved directly.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
And that was just over 5 years ago.
That's it. You two are newcomers to Austin.
But it's crazy for me because like at that point I realized that I had been living in Austin longer than I lived in New York City. And
how long? So 5 years here. What? 3 years there?
4 years there. 5 years here.
Any regrets moving?
No, not at all.
It's killer, right?
It's pretty badass.
Talking about small. It's medium pond.
Medium pond. But it's so small. I mean, the whole world is so small. Sometimes like there are just coincidences that you're just like, I gotta move. I'm going to the moon.
Absolutely. So and I've never really talked about this coincidence, but there was this dude when I was going to middle school in Salt Lake City, and teenage years, Eastmont in Salt Lake City, and I just moved there from Phoenix. I'm like new to all of it, right? And there's this dude, he's fucking like 6'6". I'm like, I'm 13. How the fuck are you that tall? I'm 13. I'm hairy, but like I'm not tall, right? And this dude's 6'6". Mm-hmm. Cliff Culpepper. And he'll never find this out or any of this. But I remember his name because it's a good brand. Cliff Culpepper. Culpepper? That's a great fucking name, right? So this dude, because he was taller, larger, he had developed before the rest of us. He was able to drive to school. In middle school, he had this like shitty Geo Metro or whatever.
Of course he did, which he probably couldn't even fit in.
It's like that episode of The Simpsons is like, this is the car I could afford, young man. Anyway, so he has this Metro, right? And he's a really big guy, really, really tall. And he's driving to school. I'm like, God damn, this guy's awesome. At that point, awesome guy. Mm-hmm. This is Salt Lake City, 95, 94. Go forward to 2003, 2002. Quite some time later, I'm in Denton, Texas, buying Radiohead tickets before the internet was the way to get tickets through Ticketmaster. I'm staying at a Kroger. Camping out at a Kroger.
Oh, man. I think I had to go to like Strawberry's Music one time outside of the mall. To get tickets to some show.
Exactly right. So but you get it. Like you have to stay out there, 9 a.m., 10 a.m., whatever it is. You got to go bug the box office for Ticketmaster. And so I'm there, Denton, Texas. My parents had somehow they moved from Salt Lake to Houston to Corinth, Texas, Denton, Texas, outside of Dallas. And so I'm there, 10 a.m. in the morning, waiting for these Radiohead tickets. Kid A tour, mind you. Fucking Cliff Culpepper. In Denton, Texas, 6 years later, this dude is in the line with me to buy Radiohead tickets. All of a sudden, I think the world is a big farce. Because it's like, there's no way. Why? Why would that happen? And luckily, I was a little bit taller, so he seemed shorter. Because I went through puberty. But that
it's that kind of thing that happens all the time.
It does, but that's
I got one from here. Even.
In Austin?
Yeah. Okay. So a couple years back, I'm still at Haddington's at this point.
Yeah.
And I get a text from Justin, and he's like, "Yo, there's this Japanese rockabilly kid that our buddy Thomas texted me. He just moved to town. He's kind of into cocktails. He dropped off his resume at Volstead, and you guys might be looking for someone. I sent him your way." I was like, "Okay, cool." He shows up. Turns out he and I went to college together.
Holy shit.
All those years ago. So yeah, like Charlie.
Did you know him?
No. I mean, I knew him.
Knew of him, right? Like,
I mean, we were friends back in college, but I didn't know that, like, I mean, we had gone so, like, different paths that that was the last thing that I would ever expect. And, like, I'm setting up the bar, and he walks in, and we look each other in the eye. He's like, "I know you." And, like, it's like, "Oh, damn it."
That's insane.
Yeah. So he's still here. So he got recommended from, like, our old lead guitar player in New York to seek us out when he moved to Austin.
That's crazy. So the Japanese, I believe, claim that the world is just merely a series of holograms.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it could just fucking be. It's just
pretty much
like none of this makes sense. It's just like you never watch a movie and the film sticks. Like you watch this old print, like at the draft house or something, and and it just that's what life is. Just a series of these things in which players are just kind of placed. Throughout the whole fucking narrative. It's insane.
We're all just imagining all of this.
Are we here right now? Is this even a thing?
I don't think so.
Are we drinking Calvados?
I mean, I am. Are you?
Yeah. This is Domaine DuPont Calvados, isn't it?
Yeah.
40%.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know how old this is? Like what the average age is on this guy? It's got some color, I would imagine.
Yeah, let's see. Which one is this? The Fiend, I think, is 4 years.
4 years?
2 or 4, I want to say.
Are you drinking Calvados because you're French?
Maybe.
Well,
I mean, it's the same thing as like what we were talking about earlier with, predispositions or things like that you're, I don't know, like somewhat for whatever reason talented at or have like a knack for. I think some of that is definitely like genetic and passed in your blood or passed down. Like, I don't know what it is,
but you get it, right? It's familiar. You get it.
So the first drink I ever had.
Ever.
Well, on record anyway.
Yeah.
So my dad's French and would always drink pastis during the summer.
Sure, of course.
Because it's
nice,
fantastic.
crisp. Yeah.
And like that's the first drink I can remember having because he'd have it and the louche would happen and it'd be this beautiful like just opaque yellow white thing on
like
ice.
lemonade-ish.
Yeah. It's like give me a taste of that. And like a lot of kids hate licorice. A lot of adults hate licorice.
I love licorice.
Oh, it's so good.
So good.
I remember taking that first sip and I was like, this is me. This is the shit right here.
Yeah,
like, I like this. But yeah, so I think like some of that stuff is like just inherent, like just in your.
It is
in yourself.
Have you ever been to a place that, let's say internationally, that you've been there, and all of a sudden you felt transported to a place where you truly belonged? That's happened to me one time, and it's so strange.
I think so. I want to say so.
Because we went to it, but it's strange, right? Like, so I didn't until later, late in adulthood, didn't find out what my genetic makeup was. Come from some circumstances, having met my father, all this kind of stuff, right? And so it's like I don't know genetically what makes me up, I like bourbon, but I'm not from the South. I like gin. So maybe there's something to that, right? So turns out, perhaps, and most likely, I've got some British blood, right? Great. So we go to London. First time I've been to London here recently. I'm there and I'm like, this just all makes sense. But why? Yeah. Why would it make sense, right? Because I'd never been there before. I love Brit rock, I guess. But do I love Brit rock because maybe I've got London blood, or do I love Brit rock because I'm a whiny kid? I don't I don't know. But it's so strange. So spirits are no different, right? Like you taste it and you're like, this just feels like home.
Yeah, definitely.
And Calvados specifically is just not. It doesn't feel like home to me, but it does feel natural.
There's something very, I don't know, comforting about it.
Yeah.
And I mean, cognac too, like French wine.
Yeah.
For example, I'm like Rhone wines, especially. Like that's
thing.
That's my thing. Like Rhone, Provence, like all that stuff. Like rosé. Oh my God.
You and Billy should share some rosé. I believe Billy, being a tall gentleman, really loves some rosé, which is an interesting fact.
Yeah, I think he's got to sit down right now. Isn't he hurt?
I hope not. I saw him on Friday. I hope he's not hurt.
Oh, well.
He'll still take me. He's got reach. He's got like a foot reach.
We'll check the internet to confirm that. Right? Billy, if you're listening, I hope you're okay.
I hope so, man. I hope so. So you moved to Austin. It seems like a good place to move. Is that when you got the Haddington gig, or did you start somewhere else?
Yeah, that was my first job. I actually, because Facebook is this magic thing that never disappears and will always let you know that all that information is forever on the internet.
Sure.
Apparently,
dick pics out there.
Yeah. Apparently, about 4 or 5 days ago was when I posted that I got a job. So thank you, Bill, for 5 years ago giving me a job.
5 years ago. Mr. Bill Norris, starting it all, a matchmaker in himself, right?
Yeah. I pretty much because the Austin scene especially was really, really starting to blow up at that point.
Yeah.
I mean, there was like Showroom, Peche, like Second had just opened up, Haddington's had just opened up.
Mm-hmm.
I think, I don't even know if was Tigress open at that point.
I don't know. I don't think so. Then, but I don't know. I have to ask Pam.
Yeah, I mean, it was super.
But it's bubbling up. Yeah. You're at the forefront of this movement.
I had one of those ridiculous handlebar mustaches at that point.
You don't have it now, do you?
Oh no, thank God.
Yeah, no, you got regular facial hair now.
Yeah, just the beard.
Just the beard, man.
Just the beard, man. But yeah, I mean, I was looking the part of
a guy that could do it.
Cocktail bartender, like showed up with a resume, a vest, and a mustache. It was just like, hey,
you're from New York. Oh, you know what this is about. But Bill, you couldn't. At least I don't think you could put a fast one on Bill. He's too smart for that.
It took me a couple times to go by before I actually got to sit down with him, and we talked for about an hour, and just because he lived in New York as well.
Yeah,
I mean, he's a Jersey kid.
Yeah, for sure.
So exchanged some stories, talked
about pork rolls. I feel like pork rolls are like the secret handshake I'm finding.
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, so he gave me a shot, and the rest is history.
Man,
especially the mustache. Thank God.
Thank God the mustache is history. Although it has its place in time. Justin had that mustache too.
He never waxed though.
Oh, you waxed the mustache.
Oh man, yeah.
What was going through your head? Did you want to be
Igor
impressive?
from EO?
Oh.
Igor always was like, "You're my son." I was like, "I'm gonna grow a mustache to be like Igor."
Yeah,
and I did. And then after we moved here, I decided to see just how long I could get. After about, I think I finally trimmed it after about a year and a half.
Did it start? They smell, don't they?
No, the wax was good. You don't wash it. I mean, come on.
Well, I don't wash certain things. I realize it's not like common. You're supposed to wash behind your ears. Mm-hmm. Like that's the thing. But I realize I forget. I do, and then I'll wear glasses, and I'm like, well, my glasses smell so shitty.
Yeah, it started brushing against doorways when I was walking through. So I was like, it's about time to take about 3 inches off of this thing.
Did you ever work at EO?
No, just Macau. But Igor always forgets that, and every time I go back to visit him, he's like, "Come back and pour us shots." I'm like, dude, I don't know where anything is back here.
I never worked here. What are you talking about? That's great. I do. I thought, it was like it was very close, right? Like very close to EO in opening. So when did you go after Haddington's?
I went over to Volstead.
Volstead, okay.
With Justin.
Yeah.
And I was doing that. And then after a while, I was doing that and Midnight Cowboy.
I think I met Midnight Cowboy. So I go back to it, right? It's this fond memory. This romantic, youthful love. You got Justin, you got Dressel, you got Adam.
Oh, man. Loving.
I mean, can you get better than that?
Bunch of salty dogs, man.
Yes.
So great.
So good. So good. And you know Francisco Terrazas, and I reflect for a moment. He said, "You know what we got to do?" Like, what's that, Cisco? We got to go to Georgia and track fucking Dressel down and go interview him. I'm like, okay, let's do that, And because it is, as far as Austin's concerned, and I would say this again, this is multiple times, but that's where it started. Yeah. That's like where it really, really, really started, No problem.
Oh, God. It's the water.
The French aren't meant to drink water. If it doesn't have booze,
there are no bubbles. Can drink this crap.
I love it. How was that experience over there at Midnight Cowboy?
Oh, it was great.
Good learning experience?
Yeah, definitely. I mean,
you were the youngest one, weren't you?
Oh, always.
Always.
Actually, probably not that time, but
who would have been younger than you?
I don't know.
Jacqueline?
Yeah.
Jackie? Yeah, maybe.
Oh no, she's definitely younger than I am.
Yeah, sure.
I think so.
I probably.
I don't know.
But you were probably the youngest one operating the cart and shit.
Probably.
Yeah. But you don't care.
No. Why would I?
You're young and you're succeeding. It's a good feeling.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good time. I mean, just the fact that all of that talent was at the same place at the same time. Just that we could, have fun and just bounce ideas off each other. And
it's insane. It's a cavern. They almost literally bounce off the walls there.
Well, actually, literally bounce off the walls.
That's right.
Yeah, it's something else. It's crazy too. Like, especially like closing time. Yeah. Just being on the heart of Dirty Six right there. Like,
ugh. You ever get into trouble?
What, you mean there or just in general? No.
You don't seem like you've started a lot of fights.
Oh, no. Never been in a fight, actually.
Yeah.
Which is somewhat surprising. But
French? Yeah, well, I don't know. I got no commentary on that.
Yeah, I mean...
That's good. Good
no, it's good. It's good.
It's good.
I don't want to be in a fight. I hear it's terrible.
Wait, you're saying you want to fight for it? What? Yeah. Sure, punch me in the face. I want that. That seems reasonable. But it is.
I hear it hurts and has consequences.
I don't like either of those. Don't like consequences? So when did you ultimately connect up with Bostic at Half Step?
Well, Bostic also knows like Justin from way back in the day because he's born and raised Austin.
Yeah.
So again, small world, if you will.
Very small. Actually, I'm drinking. Hold on, I'm gonna take a sip of this Calvados because sometimes it's just too small.
Sometimes it's too small.
It's too small.
So yeah, I mean that's how we were introduced when we moved back. Just through, it's all too small. It's a big, small world. The reason why most of us are here right now, and I'm speaking about myself and all my best friends.
Sure.
It's because of all of them. They all knew each other from 15 years ago back in, like UT when they were all like.
Because Bostic went to St. Ed, right?
He went to St. Ed.
And then Justin went to UT.
Mm-hmm. But they were all hanging out in theater and shows and all that. And everyone all went to New York and LA and wherever else. And when Bostic moved back, that's how we were introduced. And it's so small.
It is so small. But you know what I like about small?
Wait. Where are you going with this?
You could go anywhere in the world and you could find a friend.
It's true.
Which I like.
Yeah.
That's something really, really unique and wonderful about this industry.
Yeah.
And
absolutely. Everyone knows everybody.
They do. But it's not that big. So the booze industry isn't that big yet.
No.
Right? It's getting big. Music, I would say, is even more. It's the same kind of thing, right? Like you play a show and like you played with this band. Oh shit! I was talking to Omar Yafun from Dallas, right? He didn't play with the Descendants, but he played on the Descendants gear. I mean, like, what the fuck, really? We talk about like how hard that bass is to play. Am I surprised? No, I'm not. But he fucking played on the Alvarez's bass. So we're talking about, so I mean, it's a small world, but I almost feel like we're kind of all brought together because we have similar interests, music and art and drama.
I think so, especially as we all sort of try to figure out this whole life and growing up thing.
Sure.
We kind of start narrowing our focus on the things that we all enjoy mutually, and then find each other.
What age do you think is it that we are all grown up?
Never.
That's right. That's the right answer for it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. How is it being in Half Step? Wonderful spot. Sasha trained. Did you meet Sasha in New York as well before I think he came over to staff to do some stuff?
There's a chance that I did, but like I said, at that point in time, I wasn't as focused on sort of the whole cocktail.
Right. You're just doing
thing.
Right?
So yeah, I met a ton of people up there. It was always, oh hey, yeah, whoever you are. So I may have met Sasha in New York. I don't know for sure.
Yeah.
But really got to know him when he started training us down here.
How was that experience?
Really interesting and crazy and
grueling.
No, it was great. I mean, it was an opportunity to step back and rethink everything that you'd learned.
Yeah.
Over
breaking it down.
Yeah, it's like, okay, well, we're gonna break down this whole process of bartending step by step.
Yeah.
And focus on each individual step and make sure that we're dialing that in as perfectly as possible.
Mm.
And there was a lot of
Do you ever think about walking out?
No.
You wanted to stick through it no matter what?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's just bartending.
Yeah. Well, there we have it. Another great chat, this time with Florian Minier of Half Step. He's a musician, a guy from the East Coast, has an amazing mustache, has a great insight about him, and he just turned 30. So he has yet to see his greatest years. Perhaps we'll see a bar owned and operated by Florian in the future. And we did have a little bit of technical difficulties, and I apologize for that and having to cut the interview short. We're talking maybe 2 or 3 minutes, but the main nugget, if you will, in those remaining minutes in the chat between Florian and I is that he talks about cleaning up puke. And this is actually a metaphor for experience. You have a lot of people that come up really quickly through the ranks in the industry. They don't particularly pay any dues, and they call themselves a beverage director. They call themselves a mixologist, whatever it is. We're all here. We're all working, and we should be paying our dues. So, in other words, to paraphrase Florian, if you haven't cleaned up puke, you haven't really been in the trenches. Common thread here at Show to V. And thanks everybody for listening to Show to V with Mike G. No matter what it is that you're thinking about Neil Diamond's next record, or you're thinking about grabbing a fine cocktail at Half Step, please keep dancing.